name is Joseph Gare, and today I'm going to talk about the time that I volunteered at Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I was in 11th grade, and my old school required that we had a volunteer somewhere. It didn't really matter where, as long as we put in a certain amount of hours. So I did 30 or over 30 hours at Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I have a lot of cool stories and a lot of experience to share with y'all about my volunteer service. So all the work that I did and the speech is all done by me with my help only. So we're going to start out with talking about the mission of Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, Arkansas. First off, they want to provide quality, patient-centered services. Second, promote and protect the voluntary, not-for-profit healthcare system. 3, provide quality health education and respond to the changing needs of the residents of Arkansas with Christian compassion and personal concern. So during my time at Baptist Hospital, I met a lot of different patients. I interacted with a bunch of different people. I would go room to room, check on each patient, make sure they didn't need any like water or snacks or any of that kind of stuff. And if they did, I'd go get it for them. Also, a lot of them were somewhat lonely, especially if they did not have their family members in the hospital with them. So I was able to spend a lot of time and talk to these patients one-on-one and kind of get to know them and make them feel comforted while they are in the hospital. And during this time, I remember many different interactions with different patients, but there was this one man that I very vividly remember, just due to the story that he told me and how we were talking and how frequent we were talking. He really helped my experience at Baptist. He told me a lot of interesting stories, and that's what I'm about to share with y'all. So he was telling me how he used to be in the war, probably 30, 40 years ago, he said, and he kind of just talked about his experience through the whole war, but he talked about a specific instance when one of his buddies, or it might have been his bunkmate in the war, cut his leg open bad when no one was around, and he was freaking out. He did not know what to do at the time. And he eventually decided to take off his shirt, he said, and he wrapped his shirt around the man's knee and tied it tight. And due to that, the man was able to survive, and his knee wasn't actually hurt that bad before the medical people were able to get there. But the medical people had told the man that was telling me the story that due to him tying his shirt around his leg, that's basically what saved his life. So I thought that was a really interesting story that he shared with me, because not very often are you able to hear a true story from someone, how they saved someone else's life. So I always remember that from the Baptist Hospital experience, and I always remember that man. And also during the story, I mean, he was so good at, looking at me, maybe even touching my hand just to add emphasis to his points or what he was saying. So it made it very valuable to me, and it's something I will never forget. So next, I will share a communication principle and 2 communication concepts that I've learned that relate to my experience at Baptist Health Hospital. The first principle that I want to talk about is how communication is inevitable. So by this, basically, you're always going to be forced to communicate when you're in any kind of social surrounding or social setting. And knowing that you're going to have to communicate means that, you better at least try to communicate with people, because that's the way that we learn from one another, and it's inevitable. You can't live without it. You have to talk to learn, and you have to, and just experience life, you have to communicate. So next, I want to talk about a communication concept now, which is supportive messages. And what this is, basically, they're just really open and honest messages that you're sharing back and forth with somebody. And this relates to my story, because me and the man, when we were talking, and not only with the man but with other patients, we would we'd have these supportive messages back and forth, and especially with certain people, once I got to know them better, then we were able to kind of do this more frequently. And this was consistent throughout my whole experience at the hospital. Last communication concept is haptics, which is communication by touch, and this plays a huge role into my experience because when you're communicating with people by touch and also using words, it adds a lot more value to the story that they're telling, and it makes you feel more empathy, or maybe you just kind of relate more to them because they're able to add that touch, and they're kind of able to like let you feel like you were almost there with them. So I found that really cool how a lot of patients in the hospital at Baptist would use this technique called haptics to communicate with me and the nurses and all the other people working in the hospital. So lastly, I will talk about a communication concept that I can use to improve my city that I kind of lack, or that would help my city, something that I could improve on, and that would be empathetic listening. Empathetic listening basically is just truly listening, basically just dropping everything you're doing and just giving the person your undivided attention, so you're able to truly hear what they have to say and truly feel empathy, feel their emotions and how they are feeling for what they are saying. And if you become an empathetic listener, you will be able to engage in a lot better conversations at a lot deeper levels, and you get just a lot more meaning out of every conversation that you have if you're listening with empathy. I did lack some when I was volunteering in the hospital. I wish I was a better empathetic listener, so I could, empathize with people that were in the hospital, the patients that were there. Even though I was able to connect with everyone, I feel like if I work on this skill, I'll get better over time, and I'll be able to have conversations at a deeper and more important level, and we'll both be getting more out of it because the person giving the story or talking to me will be able to tell that they'll be able to pick up on my empathetic listening, and then they'll want to talk more and maybe even tell more. So it's just a really good listening technique or habit to get into, especially when you're wanting to learn about something or are really interested by a person. You really want to listen to their story and with empathy. And this is something that once I work on, I will become a lot better speaker and a listener. And I'm working on it every day to become a better empathetic listener. So, in conclusion, the first point I discussed was the importance that volunteering had on me and also the organization's mission. Then I shared 2 communication concepts and 1 communication principle that related to my story. Last, I shared how certain concepts are able to improve many qualities in my local community where I live. So, in the end, sharing the opportunity to help patients changed my life and gave me so much empathy for the things that many people have to sadly experience throughout their lives. I am beyond blessed I was able to have this experience, and this volunteering experience has definitely changed my life for the better and has definitely helped with my communication skills significantly. So, thank you.